Hello everybody, it is Emery48 here, and today's video is on Star Wars Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray. This book takes place in 40 BBY, which is 12 years after Part 2 of Darth Plagueis. I bought this book for $10 as an ebook, and it is a part of the canon timeline. Qui-Gon Jinn and his young Padawan have been sent to the planet of Teth to help with a problem on the planet. Chapter 1. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan ran through Wanbo the Hutt's compound, entering a hookah den with lightsabers lit. Obi-Wan ran out of the den to acquire a ship for their departure. Qui-Gon got behind Yambo and used him as a shield to get to the ship. Thurible, Wanbo's majordomo, had surrounded Obi-Wan before he could get to his ship. Now Qui-Gon must negotiate with the Hutts a trade for Wanbo and Obi-Wan. Thurible and Qui-Gon had come to a deal and continued their conversation about Hutt dealings for over an hour. Chapter 2. Rahara Wick and Pax Marifer flew away from Alderaan in the Merricks. Rahara and Pax collect gems that are worthless on their home planet and sell them to planets they have value on. Pax thinks he has found an untouched source of kyber crystals on a moon. That is their next destination. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon left Teth aboard the Rainhawk. They both said they could have done better in the encounter with the Hutt guards. Rael Avros was a regent on Pijal, helping rule the planet while the princess grew old enough to rule on her own. An opposition leader, Halen Azuka, is suspected to have been behind the burning down of a factory. Rael left the cantina he was at when the news hit, to be by the princess's side. Chapter 3. Pax and Rahara arrived at the moon of Pijal. In the atmosphere there were multiple Czerka ships, a corporation Rahara was forced to work under during her childhood. I have mostly only seen Czerka in the Knights of the Old Republic video games. Czerka is a company that does a lot of mining and regularly exploits the population and the planet. Chapter 4. Qui-Gon was offered a position on the Jedi Council as Master Polly Dapatian was set to retire from the Council in a couple of months. If Qui-Gon accepts, he can no longer train Obi-Wan, as council members, especially new ones, are not to have a Padawan. Princess Fanry, accompanied by Rael and a Czerka officer for Pijal, Merritt Cole, were about to meet with higher-ups in the Czerka chain of command when the opposition attacked another factory, this one on the planet's moon. No one was killed as it was empty at the time of the attack. However, the factory was still in use, producing nutritional supplements. Rael put a call through to the Jedi Temple to ask for assistance. Chapter 5. Qui-Gon sent Obi-Wan into the Jedi archives to recover readings in ancient languages, prophecies of the ancient Jedi mystics. Qui-Gon then helped explain to Obi-Wan why he finds these prophecies so important. Not as much to predict the future, although they still may, but more to understand the history of the Jedi and what they were going through when writing the prophecies. Also, because of how vague the prophecies are written, it can help explain oneself's point in the present and their potential fears or aspirations of what the future could hold. Throughout the book, we get some flashbacks to a younger Qui-Gon and his apprenticeship with Dooku. This flashback brings us back to Qui-Gon's first day as Dooku's apprentice. Dooku brought Qui-Gon on a tour of different areas of the Jedi Temple that younglings do not have access to. Qui-Gon was nervous about his journey as a Padawan, and Dooku reassured him that is a natural feeling. Chapter 6. Qui-Gon was meditating in the temple gardens when Master Bilaba contacted him with a new mission for him and Obi-Wan. They are to meet in Chancellor Kaj's office. Karames Kaj has given Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan details about Pijal, their new mission. Kaj also mentioned Qui-Gon's invitation to the Jedi Council, which Qui-Gon has yet to talk to Obi-Wan about. Obi-Wan was shocked when the news was said. Chapter 7. Obi-Wan was practicing in the Padawan dojo when Qui-Gon came in to apologize about how Obi-Wan found out about his invitation to the Jedi Council. Obi-Wan confronted Qui-Gon, saying he had always wanted to get rid of him as a Padawan. Qui-Gon wants to talk more when they are more calm-headed. Avaros was reassuring Cole that calling the Jedi was the best way to resolve the problem on Pijal. Qui-Gon reviewed the footage from about a decade prior. Rael had killed his Padawan, Nim Piana, as her brain had been sliced by a dart shot from a droid. Nim had become a danger to the ship they were protecting, so Rael was forced to kill her to save the crew. The council declared an error in protocol, but overall the correct decision had been made. They then sent Rael to Pijal by himself to separate him from the Order slightly, while still giving him a mission. Chapter 8. Obi-Wan avoided Qui-Gon for a large portion of their trip to Pijal. Towards the end, they talked about Rael's controversial past and Qui-Gon's offer to join the council. As Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan's transport ship got near Pijal, a transport ship going into the atmosphere made contact with a plasma bomb. Qui-Gon has instructed the navigator to get close to the ship and try and save the people inside before the plasma bomb breaches the hull of the ship. Before, the flashback brings us to a 12-year-old Qui-Gon going on his first military mission with Dooku. On Sharupak, Qui-Gon meets Rael for the first time. Rael offers help to Qui-Gon throughout his Jedi training and another set of ears to talk to, maybe even bring issues to Rael that Qui-Gon does not feel comfortable telling Dooku. This is the start of Rael and Qui-Gon's friendship. Chapter 9. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan saved the ship from one of the plasma mines. Another unidentified ship got rid of the second plasma mine. Rahara and Pax were the second ship to assist in saving the ship coming into the atmosphere from Pijal. They did so by firing an anti-plasma charge onto the plasma mine. All the people from the ship had been saved. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan have met with Rael on the Czerka ship, the Leverage. Chapter 10. Qui-Gon and Rael had some time to catch up with just the two of them. They discussed some of their pasts. Qui-Gon's invitation to the Jedi Council, and not being able to contact Dooku now that he is on Sereno. Chapter 11. Rael, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan arrived at the Pijal capital and were introduced to Crown Princess Fanry. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan met with Minister Orth, Captain Darren, Fanry, and Rael to learn more details about the situation on Pijal. In the morning, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are going to the moon to investigate. Chapter 12. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are on their way to the moon. Qui-Gon checked a recording of the events that unfolded a day earlier. Qui-Gon wants to locate the ship that helped save the Pajali people and talk with them. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan found Pax and Rahara. As Pax and Rahara are jewel thieves, Qui-Gon wants their help finding the opposition, the group whose attack they stopped. This is Qui-Gon's deal to not turn in Pax and Rahara for stealing jewels. He has made it clear he has no intentions of returning Rahara back to Czerka as she is a former slave, whether they help him or not. Chapter 13. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan have agreed on a plan with Pax and Rahara to pick them up on Pijal the following day to begin their search of the moon. Merritt Cole met with Fanry before her ceremony, and they talked about some of the topics they would need to negotiate after the ceremony crowns Fanry. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan returned to Pijal. Obi-Wan mentioned a prophecy that mentioned the finding of Kyber that is not Kyber, which is a crystal Pax and Rahara had found on the moon. Chapter 14. Qui-Gon had a dream of Fanry being threatened by a Sith lightsaber. Qui-Gon went and told Rael about his dream. As Qui-Gon was leaving Rael's room, they heard Fanry scream. Fanry had seen someone outside her bedroom window. They had left a slicer dart, the same thing used against Nim, Rael's former Padawan. Chapter 15. Orth blames Rael for the opposition attacking Fanry. Qui-Gon is convinced the attack with the slicer dart is more of a directed message towards Rael than an attack on Fanry's life, as what exactly happened to Nim is rather unknown outside of the Jedi Order. A balloon with anti-Czerka writing floated by a ceremony with Fanry on her balcony. I do not think the opposition is responsible for all of the different attacks, as some are political pranks, some are attacks on civilian life, and some directly danger the princess. Especially with the balloon stunt happening after a semi-assassination attempt, it is a weird pattern of escalation and de-escalation for a single group to be enacting. As we'll find out throughout the book, I'm not alone in these opinions. Before, Rael showed Qui-Gon the prophecies while Dooku was busy. Chapter 16. Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Rahara, and Pax have found a cave with a group of 25 armed people inside while flying recon over the moon. They do not plan on landing today, just a scouting mission. Obi-Wan showed Princess Fanry the inner workings of his lightsaber and explained kyber crystals to her. Chapter 17. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan looked over all of the opposition's actions, theorizing that there may be multiple different groups within the opposition, working towards a similar goal, but through different means. Pax sold some of the fake kyber to Czerka as a scam. He met with Cole and she bought them off him, not noticing a difference. The Grand Hunt, a tradition on Pijal for soon-to-be monarchs, has begun. As Fanry was chasing down the prey, which is a droid, blaster fire came from a bush, targeting Fanry. Chapter 18. The prey droid was firing on Fanry, only shooting at her, pretty much, seemingly programmed to take out the princess. Rael deflected its bullets while Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan eliminated the droid. Qui-Gon warned Rael that the person going after Fanry is likely a traitor from the inside of the palace. The only thing found so far from security footage is the attacker wore all black. Chapter 19. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan returned to the Merriks to investigate the signs of life they had found with Pax and Rahara the previous day. Rael was checking the grounds at the same time as Darren. Darren is the only person on Pijal that Rael trusts. Rahara landed the Merriks near the caves a group was hidden in, with many weapons coming up on the scans. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan left the Merriks ready to head to those people. Chapter 20. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan began fighting 14 armed foes. They were equipped with shields that protected them from lightsabers. Qui-Gon ordered Obi-Wan to retreat. Qui-Gon took out 2 of the assailants by chopping down a tree and having it fall on one of them, while the other helped them out of the battlefield. Another was taken out by friendly fire. While Obi-Wan was running away, he ran into a sinkhole. Chapter 21. Qui-Gon saved Obi-Wan from the sinkhole. The real opposition, led by Haylen Azuka, fired on the group attacking the Jedi. Azuka started talking with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, wanting to know why the opposition were being framed. Chapter 22. Haylen called the other group the Black Guards. No one knows who they actually are yet, but they are the group doing the more threatening attacks, where the opposition only do the political pranks. Haylen explained how much the treaty would benefit Czerka. She also explained that Rael had helped write into law Czerka's control over the judicial system on Pijal and its moon. This, depending on the crime, allowed Czerka to take Pijali people as slaves. Qui-Gon is going to contact the Jedi Council and Chancellor Kaj and let them know what they have learned about the situation on Pijal, especially the new details shed to light by the opposition. Chapter 23. Rahara and Pax picked up Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan after they finished chatting with the opposition. Rahara wants to help the Jedi get Czerka out of the Pijal system, as she was a former Czerka slave. Before, Dooku found Qui-Gon studying the prophecies. Dooku was disappointed and didn't want him to study them anymore because of the dangers they can bring. Qui-Gon said he would no longer study the prophecies while he is Dooku's Padawan. Qui-Gon couldn't sleep that night, constantly thinking of the prophecies he had read. Dooku decided to teach Qui-Gon about the prophecies, as he will likely study them anyway. Chapter 24. A large crowd has come to a concert for Princess Fanry. Qui-Gon and Rael had a long argument about the opposition and the treaty. Rael joined Cole at the Czerka box for the concert. Chapter 25. Qui-Gon met with Obi-Wan in the Pijal library. Obi-Wan found more problems with the treaty, exploiting the lunar population and ensuring Czerka's monopoly on Pijal permanently. Qui-Gon is going to reach out to the Jedi Council. The only one awake at the time on the council was Yoda, who Qui-Gon had a debate with on some grand topics about the Republic and slavery. Yoda will talk to Kaj about the flaws found in the treaty. Yoda does not want the hyperlanes opening to be impacted from the treaty not being signed, as the opening of the hyperlanes would help link many planets currently isolated from the main planets of the Republic. Qui-Gon had another dream of the treaty ceremony. He lit his lightsaber in the dream to strike something, but could not see what or who in the dream. Qui-Gon went to the ceremony site after waking up from his dream, as he had not actually been in that room yet. He wanted to check to see if everything lined up, if it was a dream or more of a vision. When he got there, he found Orth apparently double-checking on security, even though it is not really her job to be a part of security. Once he got inside the room, everything was exactly how he saw it in his dream, and that made him think that it was indeed a vision, because even the tiles were the right color and the right pattern. Chapter 26. Qui-Gon announced to the royal court on Pijal that he would not represent the Republic at the treaty ceremony. Without a Republic endorsement, the treaty cannot be signed. He said it wasn't even because of his doubts over the opposition and who was really in charge of that. It was mostly due to his visions that he's been having and the danger that it would put Fanry in to go through with the ceremony. Pax and Rahara are investigating some of the Czerka locations on the moon from a distance. They are going to head to a town nearby, one of the sites, to find out more about the new group of Czerka slaves just brought in. The Pijal court, except for Fanry, were panicked by Qui-Gon's announcement. Obi-Wan fielded complaints from the court because Qui-Gon left immediately after making his announcement. Obi-Wan said he would talk to Qui-Gon. Before, Dooku and Qui-Gon are on Numidian Prime, chasing down a bounty hunter, Shen the Mole. Mole had found Qui-Gon age 14 in this flashback. As she threatened to kill Qui-Gon, Dooku shot Force lightning at her from the bushes. Qui-Gon never saw the lightning but heard it, smelled it. He stopped Dooku before he killed Mole. They then brought her into custody. Chapter 27. Obi-Wan went and talked to Qui-Gon, who does not want to change his approach on this mission. Obi-Wan, in this conversation, did realize that Qui-Gon had always wanted what is best for him. There were just times Qui-Gon did not communicate this clearly. Obi-Wan is sending a message to the Jedi Council. Chapter 28. Obi-Wan called the Council and updated them on the situation that has unfolded on Pijal. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan investigated a Czerka mining site on the moon. They saw Czerka throwing out the Colon crystals, the fake Kyber. This implies that Czerka is not funding the Black Guards. As Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan were about to leave, troop transports came over the hill, full of Black Guards beginning an attack on the mining facility. Chapter 29. Pax and Rahara saw the ships starting their attack on the Czerka facility. As slave lives were in danger, Rahara took the Merrick's single-pilot fighter, the Facet, and went to join the battle. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan fought alongside each other against the Black Guard. They were still protected against lightsabers, even deflecting blaster shots with their protective shields. Rahara helped some of the slaves escape from the Black Guards, who were firing upon the building the slaves were sheltered next to. The slaves escaped to a mining silo, which was more durable against blaster fire. More ships approached the fight. Rahara got shot down by a Black Guard using a surface-to-air weapon. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon saw the ships approaching as well. They were donning the symbols of the Pijal royal colors. The Black Guard began retreating. Qui-Gon saw Rahara's ship hit the ground. He was determined to get her out of this battle alive. Chapter 30. Droidekas, part of Czerka's defenses, came out of the facility. Many attacked the Black Guard, enhancing their retreat. 2 went for Qui-Gon. Obi-Wan went to help Qui-Gon against the Droidekas. the Czerka facility began an evacuation. Rahara was found by a Czerka droid. After running facial recognition, he identified her as Czerka property, tagging her and putting her in with other Czerka property during the evacuation. Captain Darren found Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Darren was glad the Jedi were alright after the fight. Darren revealed that Fanry had ordered the Royal Guard to go and make sure the Jedi remained safe as they wandered into dangerous territories on the moon. Pax arrived at the site of the facet and was informed that Rahara had likely been taken by a Czerka droid. He was very saddened by the news. Qui-Gon gave him some alone time. Chapter 31. Rael was mad at Fanry for sending the Royal Guard to assist Qui-Gon. Fanry handled the situation very maturely, calming down all around her, including Cole and Orth. Fanry picked out the crown she would wear for her coronation, this one less flashy than normal crowns, to represent her being a constitutional monarch rather than an absolute monarch. Rael and Qui-Gon went to the same quiet place in the palace in an attempt to meditate. They dueled and talked about the Jedi, the past, the future, and darkness versus light. Qui-Gon left the duel feeling more relaxed, but more worried about his old friend. Obi-Wan helped Pax make repairs on the facet. As Obi-Wan was going to fly the facet back to the Merriks, he got a call from Mace Windu. Chapter 32. Qui-Gon talked to Cole to try and free Rahara, but unless Qui-Gon agreed to sign the treaty as is, Cole will not release Rahara. Rahara was with a protocol droid. The droid revealed that Czerka uses slaves instead of droids, which are cheaper and more effective, simply because they can. Obi-Wan revealed the Council's decision for him to represent the Republic to Qui-Gon. The Galactic Senate has made the treaty temporary, and a new one will have to be submitted within a year. Qui-Gon was furious and left the room. Chapter 33. Pax was going through grief from losing Rahara when Qui-Gon messaged him suggesting a raid on Czerka to free Rahara. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan discussed the coronation and their plan to rescue Rahara shortly after. Although Qui-Gon is still upset with Obi-Wan, they have the mutual respect to listen to each other and still work together on this mission. As their conversation ended, they heard a commotion from outside the palace. Haylen and Azuka surrendered at the palace the day before the coronation. Chapter 34. Haylen presented data of an armed base of the Black Guards on the planet in an attempt to clear the opposition's name from the attacks. Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Rael, Darren, and the Royal Guard are going to investigate the base. The base was shielded, a trap set for when they investigated, but Rael has finally realized that not everything has been the opposition. Rael has admitted the Black Guard are a separate group. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan have discovered that Therible has been in contact with a member claiming to be a member of government, but really a part of the Black Guard. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan suspect Darren. Qui-Gon told Obi-Wan that he has been upset with him since he contacted the Council, but has since realized all Obi-Wan did was listen to Qui-Gon's instructions of being more independent and following instinct. Before, Qui-Gon had called Rael to talk about what had happened with Dooku in their encounter with Mole. Rael nonchalantly shrugged it off as if nothing had really happened. Qui-Gon had dinner with Dooku, who had returned the prophecy's holocron to the Jedi archives. Dooku said they had spent enough time with the holocron, even though creating predictions was fun. It was time to focus on other things, for now. Chapter 35. Rael wore his fancy attire for the coronation, his first time being so well dressed on Pijal. Fanry was getting ready with Caddy. Obi-Wan went to inspect the Celestial Chalice, the site of the ceremony, before it began. It was closed off to everyone under Darren's orders. Fanry was behind the Black Guard with Darren. She ordered Darren to kill Cole. Fanry did not want to sign the treaty. Now that she is queen, she can get rid of Czerka. Obi-Wan attacked Darren in self-defense after Fanry ordered Darren to kill Obi-Wan. Fanry escaped with Caddy through the roof when the Royal Guard troop ships broke the roof. Chapter 36. Caddy told Fanry Darren had spared Cole's life. Fanry was on her way to the leverage as the warrior queen of Pijal. Rael and Qui-Gon are heading to arrest Fanry for attacking a representative of the Republic. Obi-Wan's Kyber crystal in his lightsaber was replaced by a colon crystal, still injuring Darren when he was defending himself but not killing him. Obi-Wan is going onto the leverage to attempt to rescue Rahara. Qui-Gon contacted Pax, telling him that the plan has changed. Obi-Wan is going to rendezvous with Pax, and there will be a distraction from Qui-Gon to allow Pax and Obi-Wan to get close to their leverage. Qui-Gon called Cole, who was unsurprisingly unhappy about the situation. Qui-Gon told her the Black Guard had been in contact with the Hutts. During this call, Obi-Wan and Pax snuck inside the leverage. Pax is going to find Rahara. Obi-Wan is waiting back with the Merrics to be ready to depart immediately after Pax returns with Rahara. Qui-Gon and Rael talked to Fanry. She said she was no longer looking for a peaceful way to rid Pijal of Czerka. She was ready for war. Chapter 37. Pax was searching the leverage for Rahara. Fanry's ship, the Righteous, aimed its weapons at the leverage after she finished her conversation with Rael and Qui-Gon. Pax found Rahara. Rahara wants to bring more slaves to freedom. While Obi-Wan was on the Merrics, alarms went off throughout the leverage. Obi-Wan used the recently repaired facet to fight off the droids coming to secure the landing bay. He accidentally turned on a control that only allowed him to steer. He could not brake. The Corvette Qui-Gon was on intercepted the communication from the leverage that said there was a slave uprising. Qui-Gon wants to talk with Fanry again. Rael and Qui-Gon tried to convince Fanry not to destroy the leverage, but save the slaves. Caddy wanted this too. As Fanry was going to give the order to fire upon the leverage, Caddy put a gun to Fanry's head, stopping her from giving the order. Qui-Gon called back to Cole to release the slaves as Obi-Wan came to the bridge, still piloting the facet. Chapter 38. This flight through the hallways while trapped in the facet, not able to stop, has created Obi-Wan's hatred of flying, although he is an excellent pilot. Orth was pronounced governor of Pijal. A democratic assembly was put in place. All Czerka contracts were terminated. All slaves were freed. Fanry was under house arrest for the next 4 years until she turns 18. Caddy was sent to a prestigious leadership school on Alderaan. Qui-Gon turned down the invitation to the Jedi Council. Qui-Gon offered to continue teaching Obi-Wan, who agreed. They were both happy with their arrangement and where their relationship had grown to. Dooku and Rael had been communicating. Dooku offered to teach Rael in the dark side on Sereno. Rael refused, using Qui-Gon's line from their duel earlier in the book. We do not choose the light to win, we choose the light because it is the light. After, we are brought to the preparation for Qui-Gon's funeral, where Obi-Wan reminisces on his apprenticeship under Qui-Gon and his future as a master, training Anakin, as he had promised his master in his last words. That wraps it up for Master and Apprentice. This is probably one of my favorite books I've read so far. It really does bring in a lot of characters from the movies, so it's cool seeing backgrounds of them and a lot of things that happen in the movies. Like, it explains kind of why, especially in Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan's lives. And Qui-Gon's one of my favorite characters in the movies, and since he's only really in the first one, having a book dedicated to him was great. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of this video, book, or other Star Wars things down in the comments below, and have a wonderful rest of your day.